when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream today.
From slavery and segregation to the Great Migration to our present day rising, the Black experience in America is a story of resilience, achievement, and unstoppable spirit. This February, we're curating amazing conversations celebrating the heroes, the pioneers, and the everyday people who made history. Black History Month on KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we carry the torch forward.
Protesting anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of, it's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and chief White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and pop right on up, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your pleasure. Last but not least, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never, ever, ever miss an episode. Now, you'll never miss an episode of the show, but don't get that confused with what feels like a daily episode in news coming out of Washington, D.C., particularly 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But the difference is that news, that's not entertainment. What happens at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and what doesn't happen makes a material difference in your life. Let me connect the dots between what's happening at the White House and what may be coming very soon to your house. The New York Times is reporting that Americans are expecting higher prices, and that could unnerve the Fed. Fresh off the worst inflation shock in decades, Americans are once again bracing for higher prices. Expectations about future inflation have started to move up, and it's according to metrics closely watched by officials at the Federal Reserve. So far, the data, including a consumer survey from the University of Michigan and market-based measures of investors' expectations, does not suggest that price pressures are perceived to be on the verge of spiraling out of control. But the recent jump has been significant enough to warrant attention, stoking yet more uncertainty about an economic outlook already cloudy by President Trump's ever-evolving approach to trade, to immigration, to taxation, and other policy areas. And just today, a survey from the Conference Board showed that consumer confidence fell sharply in February, and inflation expectations rose as Americans have fretted about the surging prices of eggs and the potential impact on tariffs. Now, y'all have heard me talk about how expensive eggs have become. Anybody who's been to a grocery store recently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The last time I was at the grocery store, the cheapest carton of eggs was $4.99. The most expensive carton of eggs, probably one of the most expensive cartons of eggs I've ever seen, was $13.99, almost $14 for some eggs, right? And so, we're starting to see, prices go up, and you're not necessarily getting more for what you're paying. I was at the CVS a few weeks ago. Some of you who follow me on TikTok at Dr. Nii-Quartelai might have seen the post that I put up where I was at the CVS, and I was shocked that the same deodorant I have been wearing for years is now suddenly $16. I said, wait a minute, is this a more densely packed deodorant? Do you just put it on once a week all of a sudden? No, it's the same deodorant, and it's not the same price. And so Americans are bracing themselves, and rightfully so. In other news, healthcare workers are rushing to learn about immigration law in case of the ICE raids. Now, this story was shared by Darren Harris, our friend over at St. John's Community Health, where he leads government and community affairs there. He had shared this, caught my attention, and I thought, okay, I got to make sure I share this with all of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. LAS is reporting that healthcare workers are rushing to learn about immigration law just in case of ICE raids. The lobby at St. John's Community Health Clinic in South Los Angeles bustles with patients, but community health worker Anna Ruth Verla is worried it's about to get a lot quieter. Many patients, she said, are afraid to leave their homes. Since Donald Trump's return to the White House, fear of mass deportation carried out by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has gripped immigrant communities. For years, a long-standing policy prevented federal immigration agents from making arrests at or near sensitive locations. These sensitive locations included schools, places of worship, hospitals, and health centers. It was one of the first policies that President Trump rolled out in January, just hours after his inauguration. Since then, Acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary Benjamin Huffman revoked the directive on January 21st, and in an accompanying press release, a DHS spokesperson said the action would assist agents in searching for immigrants who committed crimes. He said, quotes, "The Trump administration will not tie the hands of our brave law enforcement and instead trust them to use common sense." The speed of the change took our friend Darren Harris by surprise. In this article, Darren says that he thought we had more time. He thought they had more time. Now, Darren and his team are racing to teach more than 1,000 St. John's workers how to read warrants as they train for a new role, teaching patients their constitutional rights. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, who is a Democrat, is advising clinics to post information about patients' rights to remain silent and to provide patients with contact information for legal aid groups. And so we will continue to follow this story very closely, but this is a story that is only a stone's throw away from our home station, KBLA, right there in Leimert Park in South Los Angeles. And so we'll continue to follow that. But in other news, NBC News is reporting on a group of folks that were told to get extra breast cancer screenings. Then guess what happened? They got stuck with the bill. You can't make this stuff up. When Molly Smith went for her first mammogram in 2021, she had reasons to be wary. Her grandmother, mother, sister, and another family member have all been diagnosed with breast cancer. The mammogram detected abnormal tissue, and more testing was necessary. To her great relief, Smith received a clean report following an ultrasound, MRI, and biopsy, but Guess what? She incurred bills of more than $1,000 that her insurance didn't cover. You see, Smith is one of millions of American women who are at high risk for breast cancer, but whose insurance doesn't cover the cost of follow-on screenings needed to detect the disease. Breast cancer can be hidden in mammograms for many women, so doctors recommend additional screenings, which include ultrasounds, MRIs, a kind of 3D mammogram, all sorts of things. And so, this is an important moment, as we know that the current administration, if passes prologue, wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, which protects people with pre-existing conditions. Remember when insurance companies, when they had it a whole lot easier in terms of deciding whether or not they were going to cover certain procedures? They were going to cover certain things that you needed that were deemed appropriate by your doctor. Well, we can't take that for granted. Can't do it. When we come forward, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We have a more inspiring story that is happening in one of our nation's great historically Black colleges and universities. When we come forward, I'm going to be joined with Dr. Anthony Davis. He is the president of Livingstone College, and he just made a bit of news. And who knows who's listening? You never know if someone who's listening might decide to go for a three-peat. I'll tell you all about that and more when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Who cares about the Black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
I'm Sherry Shepherd. You've been a wonderful audience. Now, I may be a comedian, but I don't joke about pneumococcal pneumonia. If you're 50 or older, like me, you're at over 6 times greater risk of getting pneumococcal pneumonia. And I just learned that nearly 1 out of every 3 cases of invasive pneumococcal disease is in adults 50 to 64. So even if you're healthy, the CDC recommends vaccination for you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com to help protect yourself, like I did. That's vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes. So it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, leaders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really delighted to welcome one of the finest HBCU presidents we have in the nation. I'm talking about Dr. Anthony Davis. He's the 13th president of Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina, and recently caught my attention with some pretty extraordinary news. There's a lot of news coming out of Washington, D.C. that's not so extraordinary. This, on the other hand, is very extraordinary. Dr. Davis, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. Quartelai. I'm happy, honored, and humbled. And so thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. Well, thank you for all the work that you do. These are not easy days, easy times for folks in leadership and higher education in general, particularly at our HBCUs. But I thought I'd offer our audience of leaders, learners, and listeners a little bit of good news, a little bit of encouraging news. That even in times like this, you never know who's looking, you never know who's investing, and so I won't give it away. I'll let you do the honors. Tell our audience what happened at Livingstone College recently.
Well, to make what happened last week make sense, is we have to look to last month and even last year. We've been blessed in our community of Salisbury to have a philanthropist who is very intentional about making strategic investment in one of our historically Black colleges and universities, and that's Livingstone College. So in January, I was able to announce that we received a $3 million gift from this individual. And then in February, they doubled down. Matter of fact, they did a little more than double. They provided Livingstone College with another $10 million contribution. So in 2 years, this one donor has invested about $40 million, $39 million in cash. We raised another $1 million from a couple of other sources for what we're calling the Miracle on Monroe Street. He invested in it. He's invested in that. But it's not just bricks and mortar. It's how we are transforming an HBCU right before your very eyes. But a $10 million contribution from one individual donor.
Wow. I mean, look, there are a lot of colleges and universities out there that don't have a single $10 million donor. And so the fact that you've had a repeat donor that has now given upwards of $39 million, yes. That is extraordinary. I assume this donor wants to be kept anonymous.
Yes. But it's funny, you have individuals call you and they always say, man, I wish I had an anonymous donor. It would be good if you knew who this donor was. And I said, I know who the donor is. They just don't want, you to know who they are. So the anonymous donor is a wonderful person, a wonderful human being, and I'm blessed to have invest in the HBCU that was founded by the descendants of freed slaves who gave birth to an audacious idea. Livingstone College was founded by African Americans. Many of our HBCUs are founded by other folks who want to keep us separate. But think about this: descendants of freed slaves, members of the AME Zion Church, gave birth to an audacious idea 14 years after Juneteenth, when they said, we're going to start a college. And 146 years later, we're still not only surviving, but thriving, but doing so without $1 or one state appropriation. We were FUBU before Dane and John, for us, by us, to keep Livingstone College open and now moving from surviving to thriving.
Interesting. And so let's talk a little bit about just, your funding portfolio, because I think there are a number of organizations that are looking at their donor roster. They're looking at their sources of funding. And if they haven't already, they are diversifying their funding quick, fast, in a hurry, because, it's anybody's guess, where the federal government and certain state governments may land in terms of future funding. And so talk to us about what Livingstone College, what their current funding portfolio looks like, and how donations like the one from this anonymous donor help you all to balance any possible risk should there be a loss in funding.
Well, of course, although I celebrate every gift that we receive, I also realize that we are the victims, or better yet, the beneficiaries of deferred maintenance. So although we've been able to secure more than $40 million towards this miracle on Monroe Street, guess what? I really need about $100 million. And the only reason why I say about $100 million, because I have to think about the crumbling infrastructure that I face every day. So in the winter months, where some people don't have to worry about it, I have to worry about a furnace going out. You know why? Because I have an old building and I have to go all the way across the country to get a furnace, because I can't buy that furnace at Home Depot. I'm being facetious, right? Mm-hmm. I have to have it shipped in for a building that was built in the 1900s. Those are some of the challenges that we face. But I believe that best practices are best practices. That's why they call them best practices. I've been a philanthropic practitioner for a little more than half of my life. Since I was, I'm 58, I've been a philanthropic practitioner for about 30 years. And I know this to be true, that your best bet is to bet on your individual donors. Why? Your individual donors are the ones who have wealth, access to wealth. Particularly now, corporations and foundations are going to be very, very picky about investing in causes like mine. So I'm going to have to sit down with individual donors and say, if you make an investment with Livingstone College, guess what? We're going to give you ROI. ROI means return on impact. And I would love to talk about some of the things that has happened on our campus as a result of this one donor making a contribution of more than $39 million, when, if you have the time to hear it. When I started, we had 200 freshmen. 2 years later, we have 441 freshmen join our campus. We are the fastest growing, Black History Fact, we're the fastest growing HBCU in North Carolina. No one can talk about 100% growth in 2 years. Where most people are celebrating single-digit growth, we're looking at 13% growth over the last 2 years. And here's what I'm most excited about. We're going in the other direction. When you think about who we serve, 59% of our student population are men, 41% are women, 97% of my students require federal financial aid in order to matriculate. So that is keeping me up right now, particularly with all that is being discussed and coming out of Washington. But guess what? We're going after some of the best and brightest students, and we're using our economic model to make that happen. What I'm saying is U.S. News and World Report had Livingstone College ranked number 30 for top performance in social mobility. What that means is we can take students from one socioeconomic strata, and by the time we finish with them on our campus, guess what? They're on the path to wealth generation and prosperity. That's what we're doing on the campus of Livingstone College. So I'm going all over the country, finding those students who have an appetite for higher education and the aptitude. And look, if you know any student with a 3.7 GPA or higher, guess what? I can bring them to Livingstone College, and their families will pay no money out of pocket. And I'll talk more about that.
LA, are you listening? is this mic on? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
turn it on. Turn the mic up. Don't turn it on. Turn it up.
I mean, what an incredible deal. I mean, I just want to double click on, not just return on investment, but to your point, return on impact. It's not often that we have a chance to talk directly with HBCU presidents about the impact that they're having through their university. 200 freshmen and now 441. Fastest growing HBCU in North Carolina. Number 3, according to U.S. News and World Reports, when it comes
30.
to number 30, when it comes to top performing in social mobility. I didn't even know that they track that.
Yes. But these are the things that we don't talk about in our community. And one of the reasons why that's attractive, because here's what I tell parents when they come on the campus for a visit, that there are 3 things that we're going to do for their student, right? We're going to unlock their potential, help them unlock their potential, unleash their power, and most importantly, have their purpose unveiled. What an amazing opportunity for you to go to an institution of higher learning and understand what your purpose is. At least get on the path to your purpose, so that at least you're going in the right direction. And that's what we're doing on the campus of Livingstone College. And you know what I want to say, Dr. Quartelai? It's not just the numbers, right? We always measure things in numbers. I get it. Yes, we had 100% increase in the number of freshmen in 2 years. But guess what else we've done? We've taken young people, and now we have students there who are high academic achievers. Our average GPA was 2.5 when I took over as president. Today, the average GPA of the freshman class is 3.26. We're creating an environment where young people want to study here. We ran out of housing this year for male students. Why? Because we're retaining students at a rate that we've never retained them in our history. For more than 20 years, we would lose 50% of our freshmen. That's why our graduation rates were suspect. In 2 years, we've addressed some of that. We've been able to celebrate a freshman retention rate of 78%, but then we have a 92% persistence rate. So that means all the other students who are eligible to return actually return.
That's incredible. That's incredible. When we come forward, I want to dig a little bit deeper here into some of the enrollment gains, not just at Livingstone College, but at a number of historically Black colleges, considering the social and political climate that we're in. We are live with Dr. Anthony Davis. He's the 13th president of Livingstone College. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you've tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Steve Soboroff, appointed by Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass to lead wildfire recovery, says he was lied to about his $500,000 salary, which lacked funding. Instead of quitting, he chose to work for free, sharing his frustration last week. Civic Federation President Joe Ferguson is urging Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to cut his $830 million bond plan and revise repayment to secure city council support. Critics say it burdens taxpayers with $2 billion, prompting a delay last week. Adam Coy's lawyers are seeking a new trial, claiming prosecutors withheld key witness info. The former Columbus officer was convicted of murdering Andre Hill, an unarmed Black man. A judge will rule in April. And former Memphis Shelby County School Superintendent Dr. Marie Fegans in Tennessee is being honored for Black History Month despite her brief tenure before being voted out. She's suing the school board but declined to comment on her exit. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
tough in Elysian Park. This is on the 110 northbound past Stadium Way, where a crash has been blocking the two middle lanes. Delays out of South LA from Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Southbound slowing for the 110. Delays from the 5 all the way to Manchester Avenue. In Anaheim, a crash on the 91 eastbound before the 55 has been cleared out of lanes. Delays overall out of Carson, leaving the 110 freeway beyond the wreck. More slowing all the way to Adams in Riverside. In both directions of the 15 through Ontario, pretty slow between the 60 and the 10.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, CalHope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's going to be an emotional night tonight for Lakers star Luka Doncic. First game for Doncic against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks, tonight at Crypto.com. Doncic played his first 6 seasons in the NBA with the Mavericks before he was traded to the Lakers on February 8th for Anthony Davis. This will be AD's first game against the Lakers since the trade, although he won't be in a Mavericks uniform. AD will be on the bench in street clothes. He's recovering from a strained abductor muscle. AD has played only 3 quarters for the Mavericks. In 4 games with the Lakers, Doncic is averaging 19 points and 5.8 assists. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight. If you don't have a ticket, you can catch the game live on TNT. The UCLA women's basketball team moved up to number 2 in this week's Associated Press Top 25 poll. Texas is number 1. USC is 4th. UCLA and USC are a combined 51-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream today.
From slavery and segregation to the Great Migration to our present day rising, the Black experience in America is a story of resilience, achievement, and unstoppable spirit. This February, we're curating amazing conversations celebrating the heroes, the pioneers, and the everyday people who made history. Black History Month on KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we carry the torch forward.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good Every Day.
Babe, guess what? We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
It's okay, funny man. You got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and I've really been enjoying this conversation with Dr. Anthony Davis. He's the 13th president of Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. If you are a college student, both traditional or non-traditional, you may want to consider Livingstone College. They are doing some extraordinary work there. I'm still blown away at the fact that according to U.S. News and World Reports, they are number 30 on the list of top performing in social mobility. As I said moments ago, I didn't even know that U.S. News and World Reports tracked that. What does that mean? It means that you may go into Livingstone College as a freshman from having a certain socioeconomic background. By the time you graduate, by the time they're done with you, you may have changed the trajectory of what's possible in terms of your economic mobility. We don't hear nearly enough stories like that, but under Dr. Davis's leadership, those are the kind of stories that are attracting individual donors that are looking to invest in our HBCUs. There's a heck of a story that's being written right now at Livingstone College. Dr. Davis, I'm surprised your phone is not ringing off the hook with numbers like this coming out of Livingstone College.
Well, it rings, but guess what? I'm committed to the mission of Livingstone College. I'm an alumnus, the first alumnus to serve as president in over 50 years. So for me, this is personal. I grew up in the AME Zion Church. Livingstone College is AME Zion affiliated. So when you get to that place in your career where you can find a good fit that fits you, guess what? The bets are off. This is where I want to be. This is my first presidency, but guess what? I want it to be my last. I want to retire as president of Livingstone College.
Well, hopefully no time soon, as long as you're putting points on the board like this. I want to zoom out for a second because while Livingstone College is doing some extraordinary work, we're also seeing a lot of interest, an uptick in interest in HBCUs across the country. My parents met at an HBCU in Tyler, Texas College in Tyler, Texas. And so I am a part of the fruit of some of the finest that HBCUs produce. But according to the Washington Post, enrollment at historically Black colleges and universities is recovering from the pandemic at a faster rate than much of the rest of higher education. Some HBCUs have reported as much as 30% growth in last year's freshman class compared to prior years. And the end of race-conscious admission, record philanthropic gifts, and the rise of HBCU graduate Vice President Kamala Harris has placed an enduring spotlight on the sector. How much of a Kamala Harris effect are you seeing at Livingstone College?
I can look at that two ways. So I'm going to get pre-election and post-election. Can I do it that way?
Of course.
So if I look pre-election, she was a motivator. We do something on our campus, part of our holistic learning environment. One of the modules that we spend a significant amount of time on, whether you're a freshman or a senior, is your civic responsibility to vote. Why? Because our ancestors bled, died for you to have that opportunity. And we teach our students that your vote is your voice. Not telling you who to vote for, but to make sure that they vote. And so we went to early voting with a party to the polls. We took 5 coach buses, a party bus, and when we showed up to the polling precinct, they weren't ready for us. Our students stood in line for more than 6 hours to cast their vote, some for the first time. That was part of the Kamala effect. So that's pre-election. Post-election, although some of our students were disappointed because their candidate didn't win, they're not deterred. What they're saying is, how do we get ready for the next election? And one of the things that they have said to me, and as president, their leader, I'm proud of that, was, hey, how do we not have to stand in line for 6 hours? So now I'm approaching the powers that be to say, rather than have Livingstone take 5 buses to an early voting site, let's put the early voting site on campus. You want them to be civically engaged, let's put the polling place on campus. The jury is still out on that one, but I'm going to be fighting that fight, and I think it just makes sense. So we have a pre-Kamala effect, and now we're also going to have a post-Kamala effect. And it's not over. We've got work to do. Excuse me.
Amen to that. Amen to that. It is not over. It is not over. And I might add, not just in presidential years, right? So they ain't got to wait a full 4. There are special elections that happen in between. There are midterm elections that happen in between. And so it's great to see a culture of civic engagement growing at Livingstone College. In this Washington Post article that I referenced from last year, one of your students, Christian Gibbs, who was 18 at the time, freshman at the time, studying business administration, said something that really caught my attention. Christian said, quote, "Every professor I've met here cares about whether I'm succeeding. Maybe it's partly because they look like me and they see themselves in me." That's what your student said. As a freshman, how much of Christians' sense of belonging is a part of what is attracting donors who, are also having to navigate this hostile environment around all things diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, I would imagine you hear something like that, it begs for more investment. Who wouldn't want to invest in a young person who is saying that as a freshman about the environment that he finds himself in?
Well, I can say this, and I'll say 2 things that have happened. I want to start with your initial question. When you think about, what's happening all across the HBCU community, not all across, because some are having enrollment challenges, but then there are some of us who are thriving. And I'm blessed to say that Livingstone College, is posting double-digit growth for the 2 years that I've been president. But here's something that we've been doing, and the Washington Post article picked this up as well, is that when we're sitting down with students and their families, what we're saying to them is, we understand that you can go anywhere in the country that you would like to go, but why go where you are tolerated when you can come to a place where you will be celebrated? That's my individual message to every student who is thinking about going somewhere else. And hey, by the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our coffers and I'm going to make sure that you and your family don't have to come out of your pocket. I'll go out and raise the dollars to help you get into college. And also, guess what? I have a career readiness institute where they start to develop you your freshman year so that when you graduate, you don't graduate unemployed and underemployed. So think about the whole entire economic ecosystem.
Yeah.
Create that you can come to Livingstone College, get your degree. U.S. News and World Report said we're number 30 in the region for top performance on social mobility. One of the reasons why that number is growing and is so high is because we're bringing in students like Christian and telling he and his family that, you know what, you don't have to pay any money out of pocket. You'll take care of your financial aid, and whatever is left over, we're going to go ahead and cover the gaps. Guess what?
And it's worth noting that Christian, according to this article, had never even heard of Livingstone when you all reached out to him through a recruiting platform, Next College Student Athlete. And, Christian Gibbs apparently is no slouch. He had a 4.5 GPA in high school. The Atlanta native was accepted to 15 schools, 15 schools, including Emory University in his home state. And he wanted to go to college where he could continue to run track, but not need a sports scholarship to cover the cost. And so that's how he made his way to Livingstone.
That's right. That's right. But imagine being able to come to a Livingstone College from a low socioeconomic background, and you cross that stage 4 years later, 5 years later, not only do you have your degree in one hand, but you have multiple job offers or grad school offers in the other. Imagine what that does for you socioeconomically, that where most of your friends will go to institutions where they will gain, or better yet, they'll amass about $100,000 in student debt, where you will come out debt-free.
And it is a major value proposition, particularly in a time like this where we don't know what's going to happen in terms of federal student aid. But my thanks to Dr. Anthony Davis, the 13th president of Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. I can't wait to come and visit you in person.
Yeah, please come and visit us. You're doing a great work. I know we ran out of time because I can talk about Livingstone College all day. You're looking at someone who grew up his entire life in foster care. I went from foster care to the president's chair, and so I'm reaching back. So if you have young men and women who are about to age out in foster care, they can come to Livingstone College, and they never have to worry about where they will sleep, where they will eat, where they will go on breaks. They don't have to worry about their tuition. I treat them like a presidential scholar. Shame on me if I can be blessed to get to what I call my dream job, the highest level of attainment and education for my career path, and not send the elevator back down to bring somebody else up.
Wow. Well, amen to that. We will do our part to spread the word. And Dr. Davis, this is just part one. I know we're going to have a part two to this conversation very soon. Please keep up the good work, and big salute to your entire team over at Livingstone College, because, I know it's not about any one person, but it's got to be everybody working together. Remember, it takes a village.
That's right.
It seems like the village is alive and well at Livingstone College. Thank you, sir.
You. Because we have people like you who are turning our megaphone into a microphone. So thank you.
Absolutely. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Thank you,
America, a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy and beyond, supporting your partner, advocating for your baby, and ensuring a healthy birth. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health disparities, and your involvement starts during pregnancy. Join the free AIM Fatherhood program today and learn how to support your partner, advocate for your baby's health, and connect with other fathers committed to healthier births. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood to get started.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach: transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal: prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
One night, girl. Yeah.
California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. This is a reminder that we recently launched a campaign that we want to enlist you to be a part of. And so all the folks that are streaming right now on YouTube, let us know. Let us know who we should be talking to. We are enlisting you to help amplify this, to help promote this. It's our campaign looking out for Black federal workers. There are a number of stories that we have shared right here on A More Perfect Union about various federal agencies engaged in mass layoffs. And we are in the business of reminding folks that those layoffs aren't just numbers. Those layoffs represent real people, real families with real bills, talking about rents and mortgages and tuitions, and elder care and so many other obligations. And a lot of these folks, our friends, our neighbors, people in our congregation, are real anxious right now. A lot of them are having to figure out a lot on the fly, and we want to make sure that they feel supported and that they are reassured that their stories matter. And so, teamed up with Tavis Smiley, our fearless leader here at KBLA, along with all of our other on-air hosts, to launch this campaign called Fired But Not Forgotten. It's the Testimony Project. It's all about bearing witness, breaking silence, and building community. Here at KBLA Talk 1580, we are committed to amplifying the voices of Black federal workers impacted by these mass firings and rooted in the Black tradition of testimony. This initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, through investigative storytelling and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice. We intend to preserve truth. We intend to demand accountability. And so if you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to these mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com. You can also contact us via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. I'm always talking about download the app. Well, you can download the app and not just listen to our show in afternoon drive time, but you can download the app and you click on the open mic feature. You can record and press send. And we're going to get that, and we want to amplify the voices of as many folks as possible, and invite as many guests on the show as possible, because documenting these stories matter. Amplifying these stories matter. And so we want to hear from you and share your story, because, of course, at KBLA 1580, we got your Black. Now, speaking of folks that have a story to tell, Representative Hakeem Jeffries had a press conference in front of the U.S. Capitol earlier today on the budget resolution. And you know what he said? He said, "Let me be clear. House Democrats will not provide a single vote to this reckless Republican budget. Not one. They will not get a single Democratic vote. Why? Because we're voting with the American people." And guess what? Representative Jeffries isn't alone in that. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, after an angry town hall, Representative McCormick urges caution as Trump pushes cuts at breakneck speed. Yeah, you're hearing this correctly. The Georgia Republican congressman who last week faced angry voters infuriated by President Trump's push to fire thousands of federal employees and slash scores of programs, said just yesterday that the White House needs to slow the pace of sweeping changes. U.S. Representative Rich McCormick urged the Trump administration and Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency to take more caution with far-reaching orders days after attendees of his Roswell town hall peppered him with boos and jeers. McCormick's remarks make him one of the few prominent Georgia Republicans who've called on Trump and his allies to slow their push to fire federal employees en masse and cut government spending. McCormick said he doesn't oppose Trump's overall strategy. An early supporter of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' presidential bid, McCormick and every other prominent Georgia Republican have since lined up behind Trump. McCormick's district, which stretches from North Atlanta suburbs to the North Georgia mountains, is hardly a hotbed of anti-Trump resistance. He won a second term last year with nearly 2/3 of the vote, and Republicans see it as a safe seat for the decade. Until now. Make no mistake about it, firing federal workers en masse, just operating all nilly-willy, that's not going to pass muster. And that's not just folks in blue districts that are concerned about that. They are folks in red districts, safe red districts like this, or so they think. Representative McCormick is the canary in the coal mine. The question is, will President Trump, will Republican leadership on Capitol Hill, will they listen? We'll stay tuned for that. When we come forward, we're heading into our second hour of A More Perfect Union with Dr. Yamonte Cooper. I've known Dr. Cooper for many years. And I'm really excited to finally have an on-air conversation with him about an incredible new book that really has caught a lot of good attention. It's called Black Men and Racial Trauma. You don't want to miss this conversation when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black Fulton County election workers their $148 billion judgment. He reached a deal allowing him to keep his property in exchange for compensation and a promise not to defame them again. Howard County Mayor